Welcome back to Got No Control Podcast. I'm your host, RONEK. And before I introduce my special guest, I want to announce that we're officially on our first ever tour. We're stopping by 3 states, Vegas, Colorado, and Utah. Stay tuned for content. We're working on bringing in-depth podcast episodes. Out here working. And today I have the pleasure of sitting with Las Vegas native, Black 57.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm chilling.
Man, I was driving up here and, man, Vegas traffic is starting to feel like LA traffic in a way.
It is. LA's here now. There was a joke we were always saying, like, it's turning into LA. It's like, It's not turning into LA anymore. Vegas feels like LA now, you know.
I feel that way too. I'm just like, ooh, what's going on over here?
Yeah, man. It was a sleepy, nice, chill town for the whole time I've grew up here, man. And it's not the same anymore. You know, it's really not. The energy just feels different in general, driving around town. And I remember seeing them years ago. There used to be, somebody did a study on the tempos of a city based on people's average heart rate. And that would determine like the pace of the city. And LA's pace was very high heart rates because everyone's moving, trying to get stuff done. And I feel the shift in Vegas's pace, like tempo, change completely.
So it's not like, because I know in the South, when I was in the South, it is a lot slower, right? Like life's a lot slower, but once you get to LA, everything seems just like boom,
go,
boom,
go.
boom, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
And Vegas is starting to feel like that.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that. It changed. Like I said, growing up here, it was always chill, real slow, and now it's just hectic. It's pretty hectic here now.
What part of Vegas are you originally from?
From the west side.
The west side.
Yeah, west side of Vegas. There's you split the city up based on the strip pretty much.
Okay.
So on the strip is the center point of the city.
Yeah.
The Luxor is the south side, and then the Stratosphere, which is on the other end of the strip, is the north side. Okay. So based on that, you know what north and south are. Gotcha. And then the other way is if you go east of Vegas, this is the Stratosphere is going to be on your right side. Yeah. And then if you're on the west side, the Stratosphere is going to be on your left side. So the city's split up that way, north, south, east, and west. East side's a lot older. That's where a lot of the history, like historical districts and stuff were. Like when Elvis Presley was here and the Rat Pack in here. You'll find all these older like settlements of like old neighborhoods and really ritzy, nice like mansions sometimes closer to the strip because that's where the entertainers were at. They're real close to the strip. Yeah. And then the more you go out, they develop the east side first. And then if you go to the west side, it's a lot newer. So it's not as historic. There's not as many like older buildings on the west side. So I grew up on that side. I moved out here in like 1999 with my parents. So. Oh, wow.
So you were born here in Vegas?
No. I moved out here in 1999 when I was like 8. From Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, New Mexico.
Yeah,
I love New Mexico. It's nice over there.
It's nice. Different. It's real slow. I'm talking about pace. Like they're like super mellow.
I remember driving by the road. I think it's the 10 that takes you up there, and they have a big old teepees over there, like big ones.
Those landmarks. Yeah, those are the landmarks. It's like in Arizona. Yeah, right before you hit Gallup, coming in, we would drive back once a year, every year. From here to there for our family reunion. So I grew up on the road, that long stretch where you can just see way off into the distance. It's nothing but desert.
And are you native as well?
Yeah, I'm Native American. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm Native, Black, and Hispanic. Nice. On my dad's side, he's Black and Native American and Hispanic. And then on my mom's side, it's just straight Native and Hispanic.
Nice. Mm-hmm. How was it growing for you at home? How did at home look like for you inside your home?
Well, my mom worked I live with my mother. She worked a really late night. So like she would be out from like 5 roughly, or 6, like 6 or something like that in the evening till around like 3 a.m. And she wouldn't get back till around 3 or 4 at night. So my brother and I kind of like looked after each other. I have an older brother. So he would, run the streets and get into all sorts of really bad stuff. And he was, I would see what he was doing and be like, I don't want to be involved with that per se, but having that example, he learned a lot for both of us, essentially, Yeah. We kind of helped raise each other, my brother and I. Then, needless to say, my mother wasn't like completely not there, and my father, we'd see him every single weekend and spend lots of time with him as well. So I had a close father figure and mentorship in my life, but growing up, but there was, regardless, a lot of alone time and a lot of imagination time, a lot of just time to sit with myself and to bounce creative ideas off my brother and get his guidance. He was an artist as well.
Oh, he was an artist.
Yeah, he was an artist. He was an artist before I was. I wanted to be a chef. Yeah. When I was a little kid, like from a little boy, I would get like cookbooks and pans and shit for my birthday. I wanted to cook, but he was always drawing and being creative.
Okay.
And I think it was around like the age of 13, I recalled my time in Albuquerque when I was like real young, and my older cousins who were already in high school at that time, they were doing graffiti. They were into hip hop, and they were doing like, involved in the culture of hip hop in general. So when I was 13, I recalled that, and I was like seeing what my brother was doing with his drawings, and I started to doodle and get into hip hop like massively. I remember I was just as a 12-year-old just diving so deep into Tupac and memorizing every single one of his albums. Man, I was obsessed with him.
Yeah,
and the surface level. And then I think around that time, my brother's friend, his friend group in general, were a huge influence on me because they were all older than me. But they took me in as like just like one of them, it wasn't even a thing, and they introduced me to underground hip hop, and like I got obsessed with, diving super deep into MF Doom at the time, LP, Definitive Jokes, Aesop Rock, ID and Abilities, Atmosphere, just Brother Ali, anybody, just super immersed into underground hip hop, Jedi Mind Tricks, everything.
I love Jedi Mind Tricks, man.
Super. Vinny Paz is awesome, man.
Taking a small step back, brother, before we move forward.
Yeah.
Your brother, his drawings.
Yeah.
What was he actually drawing?
He was drawing like fine art stuff. Like he was doing like doing portrait work. He was doing he would do this abstract style where he would call it just zoning out, sort of, where he would just like I don't know, he was really methodical and precise with his drawings. It wasn't like crazy or sporadic drawings.
Yeah.
They were like smooth, futuristic, abstract pieces, that were sort of like if you took water or mercury and you threw it in the air, and then from your mind think about what that looks like and draw that. Yeah. But then you draw it blue or rainbow colored or something like that. Okay. And then he would incorporate like smooth stone, like stones over that with maybe like splots of certain like geometrical patterns over it, like just really smooth, interesting stuff like that, and colorful things and portrait work and what he would see. He would draw from his sight, looking at things. So he was really good at that. He won awards. He won like national awards and stuff. And
also he was at a high level.
He was a very good artist. He still is a very good artist, but he was really good. Like he was definitely a standout amongst his friend group, and like during school, when he would go to school to art class in high school, he was winning awards all across the nation for it and stuff. But he actually quit like doing art, and he actually became a professional chef. So he's an executive. He's an executive chef. So like he took the mind though, and he had that methodical precision mind in general, and he took it from art to that. But I was inspired by seeing him and like seeing what he was doing. And it got me sort of like on my shit. Like I want to get better, because I had like one of the best artists to look up to as a brother. Yeah. And so like it made me put my nose in the books and like study art and study techniques and study, how can I get better like that? And that just became an obsession for me. Like,
and entering, you have at home, you have your brother, right? Mm-hmm. That he's heavily influenced you to get into art. But then you also have family members in New Mexico that are already painting graffiti, right? Yeah. And they introduce you to this art form of graffiti. Yeah. Once you were introduced to it, prior or after, were you actually seeing graffiti in New Mexico?
When I would go back, because I would go every year, I was, at the very beginning, it wasn't because I was too young, to even have it on my radar. But once it was on my radar and I started to like gravitate towards it back in Vegas, when I'd go back to New Mexico, I would be like, hey, I know we're here for a family reunion, but like, I want to go take a tour of the city's alleys and the tunnelways, and I need a whole day to do this. And I would get disposable cameras, and I would go and I'd take flicks. Oh yeah, make sure the flash is on the, yeah. And so I would take disposable cameras around the city of New Mexico, and I would take flicks of all the dopest pieces, and I would get them developed when I come back, and I still actually have I have a huge stack of them.
Oh wow!
And I look at them sometimes, I'm like, this is not that good, but like some of them are like, I was just blown away because you're this tall and you're looking at this wall that someone painted, and it's like 3 times your height. It's like, this is monumental, to a little kid like that, and so.
What year would you say this was?
Oh, that was probably like 05, 04. Roughly,
and do you recall maybe a name or two that you can remember that you were seeing at that time in New Mexico?
In New Mexico at the time, I don't think I can. I remember I remember styles. I remember a piece that said here, and the H had like teeth coming out from the bottom of it. Okay, I remember that one, and I remember a lot of them were like wild style pieces that I like couldn't decipher, but I had them as like color references and letter references, But names wise, I was just trying to collect it, just trying to observe it and collect it at the time. I was too young to like really get a notable name in New Mexico specifically.
Gotcha.
But in Vegas, when I got back, when I would see it, I would collect, certain pieces from certain writers and look for their stuff. So in Vegas, I can like the back of my hand because I was like walking around here looking for them. Yeah. And like actually finding, I'll take the bus to like, as a 12-year-old, I was taking the bus across town to like the east side or to the strip to where the tunnels are and doing the same thing with the disposable cameras.
Taking pictures.
Collect so I can take them back home and go in my black book and like bite styles, you know what I mean? Like,
at what point do you tell yourself, this is something I'm going to engage in and actually pick up a can and start spraying?
Probably like 13.
13?
13 years old, I was 13. And it was just because at the time, like I said, the west side of Vegas was still being developed. Okay. And there was a lot of desert left, and there wasn't a lot of condos. There's no homes for the most part. Well, there was, but there just wasn't as many. But the construction had lots of open construction sites. They didn't close anything up, so you can walk just through it. And as a kid with a lot of time on his hands, that's what I did. And I would find boxes of the marking paint that they would have, the ones that you hold upside down.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I would take so many of those boxes of fucking marking paint or cans that they would just throw out there in the desert. They'd mark something and throw it and go off, and they'd be off for the day. Construction workers aren't coming back for the next day, and I would just walk through their construction site and grab, streakers or marking paint and shit.
Just getting it how you can.
Yeah, just get it where it could, and that's kind of like when I started to like, as a 13-year-old, I'd grab those cans and I'd go catch little rights and stuff and like, tunnelways and stuff in Vegas. Yeah. Complete toy stuff, but that's when I first got my fix on it.
We all start off there,
Yeah.
We start off with chicken scratch and it develops into this, into that, and then keep growing, and as adults we keep to learn,
Yeah, you got to grow it. Yeah, you got to just keep interested in it. Find new ways to keep yourself excited.
At what point do you come across another writer out here in Vegas?
Pretty early, because it was, we was doing it in school.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I always had a black book at school. And so like, whether it was like taking notes during like any class or anything, I was always doodling on my papers and stuff, just because that's how it goes. But that grabbed the attention of other kids, like, oh, my friend does that. Or like my friend's part of this crew or whatever like that. And sort of, it kind of blossomed that way, and I got introduced to people who are like writing, and I'm like, oh, I actually have your picture in my stack. And like, I'd get them to like, oh my God, it's so crazy. I seen your stuff here. And I was a fan, of a lot of the kids that were bombing, in crews while I was just dipping my toes, just getting into it. So I was already aware that they were existing in my neighborhood or wherever I was walking. Then later connected them to the collection I had of photos. So
this is pre-internet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they were kind of like, what the fuck you got my photos? Like, kind of like, kind of narked out, kind of, I totally see. But I was just excited, and like they took notice though. They're like, you're taking flicks and you're like appreciating the styles that everyone has, because they were influenced by LA styles and stuff, but they were doing it here in Vegas, or trying to do a derivative of it here in Vegas, But during that, I got a lot of attention on me from other writers, because they knew me as a kid who was like collecting, or like, a huge fan, geeking out about it,
Were these children? They were natives from Vegas as well, like yourself, or they were just migrating in?
No, I mean, Vegas is like just in general. Even if you live here, grew up here, it's not too uncommon to be like, yeah, we're originally from wherever, but I grew up here or whatever. So, I think most of them were either transplants, but who have been living here for years on hand, or some of them were born and raised here. But you kind of get a good mix of people who consider themselves native, who are like moved here when they were really young,
Yeah, because it wasn't kind of like, hey, follow me on Instagram back then. It was kind of like, hold on, let me go get my stack.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, yo, this is yours. Yo, I got like 3 of your throw ups, man.
Yeah.
And, like for real. I'm like, that's so sick, And then I'd have them sign my black book and stuff. But yeah, that's how I first got introduced, was sort of like being a fan of it and being a fan of them before I even knew they existed.
Carrying a black book, was that something that was taught to you by your family members in New Mexico?
No. It was at this point when I started to care this much. I would go to Barnes and Nobles, and I would at this age, and I would look for graffiti books, and I would pick these books off that some of them were memoirs for writers in New York or from wherever, some in San Francisco, and it would just be a book of like stories of bombing stories, and stories of like the aesthetics of graffiti. And I was legit researching and like absorbing this, like from like studying it, and also too going online and watching videos on how to piece from like, I think Stomp Down was just getting started, Stomp Down Killers, and that's where Keep Six and Lesson, and was that guy Crave who did the characters, and Big Miles. But I was watching a lot of internet like really early internet videos.
Yeah.
And watching documentaries like there was one called State Your Name from it was a New York one. They had a bunch of bombers, and they would just like interview them real quick on the streets, like, hey, what's your name? And they would, yo, I'm so and so from this crew, and we fucking get down this way, dog. And then they'd have a whole like 15-minute segment of that person just bombing. And then they would do that. They had Scuff on there. They had Noxer on there. They had a ton of like legends, New York legends from like the late 90s on there. And just listening to like, yo, you do this, you don't do that. Yo, you're supposed to do it this way, you're not supposed to do it that way. And like really just listening and absorbing it as like a really like influential like kid, someone who could be easily influenced. So like being immersed in the culture, I just got so enthralled with it, and like I just wanted to learn more. And I maybe learned a little too much because I would just be a nerd about it. You know what I mean? And like,
because you loved it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I learned terminology that no one uses anymore because it was like,
hey, yo, B.
Yeah, yo, B, yo, that shit's groovy, dog. I still talk like that, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I studied the old school writers, like early 80s, late 70s, Tracy 168, Taki 183, a lot of Scene, I was obsessed with the early ages of East Coast.
Okay.
That's where I kind of like found a pocket that I was like, it felt really special just because it was like, this is where it all started. And like, even some of those letter styles and those murals they were doing on the side of the whole cars and shit, that was all like, this is so exciting, because it was like colorful. It was artistic. They were doing more like character stuff and more like theme stuff. So the characters and themes and the colors and the styles of the early era really kind of attracted me. It was on the East Coast too. The East Coast styles attracted me, like the throw-ups. Like I would see the...
Was there any mentorship here in Vegas at the moment? Like any elder writers that you could speak to?
For me, there wasn't. Because in my environment, it was people my age who didn't want to kick with me. Okay. Because I was the graffiti nerd. And the older writers were on the east side. The east side of Vegas, like I said, was a lot older, so they had a lot more foundation. The west side, it was newer. There wasn't as much history there. Still a lot of desert out there.
Yeah.
So I had to look for my own spots. I had to find my own places to paint. I had to learn the rules, the do's and don'ts on my own, and I had to meet people on my own. So I was really kind of doing it alone for a long, long, long time until I started meeting people my age or my brother's age who were his friends writing, who were doing it as well. But by then, I had already gained a little bit momentum just doing it by myself, my way.
Okay.
I didn't have like a direct line to somebody who took me under their wing for a very long time. And by the time those people started to come into my life, they saw my momentum already. They were like, "Oh, okay, just do your thing." Like you kind of know, you kind of get the boundaries of what we expect when you're out here doing this. You know how to behave essentially.
Gotcha.
So they didn't need to essentially step in because I kind of was like, holding the declaration of graffiti. Like, no, this says here, it says here. Like, this is what I go by. I go by this, so.
To your knowledge, was there anybody already out here while you were coming up that you could kind of say, like, he was already established?
Yeah, there was a lot of writers that I looked up to, style-wise and just piece-wise, again, because I would take note of who was doing what.
Yeah.
There was crews out here. There was one of my favorite crews growing up was War Crew and CFS Crew.
Okay.
They had styles and they had, coordination. They would go hit a wall. Everyone would coordinate the colors and everyone had a distinct letter style with doing it differently. And, seeing their next wall, I can't wait to see what that guy does next. I can't wait to see what they do next. There's a guy named Erie out here who is just super dope. Like, I think he does trains now, but when I was coming up, I would see Erie a lot. I would see Seek a lot. Seek was a part of CFS Crew. Super awesome styles. Cry from War Crew doing mural stuff. Now he's doing murals professionally still, but he was doing it when I was just getting in. He was already had years of him doing it. It was incredible. There was a guy named Phobic who was from the 90s. He was doing some really super sick, dense, late 90s style, wild styles.
And these are all guys that were in Vegas?
Yeah, all Vegas writers. Then Aware, obviously, you can't forget Aware. He's a legend, Yeah. I think he's the main person who's put Vegas on the map for just about everything, man. Honestly, Aware just, you can't get any bigger than Aware, dude, honestly. But yeah, looked up to a lot of them, and saw what they were doing. And I wanted to bring a different flavor, though, because they were kind of doing... I really don't want to say they were doing the typical stuff, but they were doing stuff when you see it and you was like, that is graffiti. Like that, what they're doing is graph. And it's like, yes, it's respected. That's the brand. That's what we expect. But just cause I was such a nerd, I was looking for weird stuff. You know what I mean? I was looking for, odd letter structures from Europe, you know what I mean?
Okay.
From Eastern Europe, writers at this point, and weird anti-style esque stuff, but still within the framework of what I liked from the East Coast style, and even some of the Northern California styles, you know what I mean, where it's kind of a little more funky to it, a little more wispy-ish sort of, and that wasn't here. I was always impressed more by novelty. Than I was with the status quo of this is letter structure from LA with the sharp cuts. Yeah. Here's the auger style, the zest style, the sharp attack you, pointy saber stuff, that. I was more so impressed with unique, novelty letters that weren't necessarily jagged West Coast or funky East Coast. It was where can you find the bridge between something brand new or something kind of really unique in itself, where it's just a one-on-one style that no one else has. There was a writer named Poet from Eastern Europe, and he was doing pieces with two cans where he would do one letter with two hands like this. And his letters they looked so weird because he was doing them in a weird way. Or Dare from TWS Crew, or Sweat from TWS Crew. Those dudes Sweat, he's a monster, man. He just paints so many pieces, but his letters are unique. They're long. They're narrow here, really fat over here, and they always kind of have a different structure to them. And so I was looking in Vegas, no one's doing that kind of stuff here.
Okay.
And I also noticed that you can buff a piece with a rectangle. A rectangle will buff your piece out. Yeah. And so I saw that and I was like, what if you did a piece that wouldn't fit in a rectangle? What if it was kind of a piece is up here, one's down here, one's over here? How would the buff look over that?
So you're really innovating in your mind. How did can I be different?
How can I step out the box a little bit? How can I put my letters in a weird way that's not going to, just blend in with the rest of the pieces on it, I wanted my pieces to stand out from what everyone else was doing.
Okay.
So as far as that goes, I was trying to see I'm influenced by the locals, but at the same time, I wanted to see what was novel and pull it from here. Like, here's something out of outer space you've never seen before, or something weird like that. So
you think aliens are green? Well, guess what? Here's a pink alien.
Yeah. Here's a translucent one. You can see through its opal.
Yeah.
It changes with the light. But yeah, so I wanted to like not be too influenced by what was happening in my neighborhood or even in the city. I wanted to like reach out, even away from the coast, away from the West Coast, just across the world. What are they doing over here? Bring it back and interpolate it through my lens, through my influences and what I've got going on.
Having your brother at home being an artist, right, and him being one of your biggest influences, what was his take on you entering the graffiti art world?
Well, he was a little concerned because he was already kind of doing some street stuff, not necessarily graffiti.
Yeah, okay.
But his crew early on, he didn't stay there for that long doing that stuff. He kind of changed his life, but early he did. He changed his life, but he was involved with that. He knew real people who were doing real stuff. Real shady stuff. So he was kind of like, hey man, it's cool and all, that you want to express yourself and get out there and do that, but like, they're not gonna be nice to you. No one's gonna fucking hold your hand and be nice to you. So he was always trying to temper me.
Okay.
And trying to get me tempered for anything I need to do so I can handle myself if I need to.
Gotcha.
I could always communicate well with people and sort of say, hey, this is what I'm here. I'm doing this. This is my lane. I'm not in that lane. I'm not doing this lane. I'm not doing that lane. This is me doing me, and that's it. So there was never any major miscommunications between me and any other writers who are established who were maybe feel like I might be doing something I shouldn't be doing in the culture or anything like that. And if there were, then we had a conversation about it privately.
Okay.
So I've had plenty of OG writers reach out to me, and me and them have had plenty of conversations about, hey, in the manual of graffiti, you don't do this,
yeah.
And I always kind of listen because if I don't listen, I can't hear what they're trying to tell me. And they might be trying to help me with something. And if I'm too defensive with what I'm like, oh, this is me, this is what I'm doing, I'm not going to absorb the information they're trying to pass down to me. So I try to listen to other writers when they do that. But what was the question again? I'm still going on that, but I just want to know what the question was. Sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I could share that in Vegas in 2013. I was out here.
Mm-hmm.
I was living here 2013 and 2014, and there was nothing out here as far as like I'm gonna go to a grass shop like down the street today and get some paint.
There wasn't.
Or I need some caps or whatnot. So for me, I had to go back home to LA, get whatever I get, and bring it back with me. So early on for you, how were you going about getting your tool?
Yeah, totally. There was a shop before I started writing on the east side of Vegas.
Okay.
So I never went there. It was called Workman's, and it was like a clothing shop / paint store. But I think they had the paint in the back. And you had to know someone. They would go and they bring you back there to it. But they got shut down because of that. The cops found out about it.
Oh, okay.
And so I think they got shut down because of that. And then there was a spot that I knew at a mall called Amazing Arts. Amazing Arts, and it was a tribal store, so they had all tribal gear. Like they had dope pieces from like, oh, you name it. I think a million people. Tribal's pretty well known, but it was a tribal shop, and my homies were going there to get clothing, but they're like, yo, they sell markers there, they sell like on the runs there, and they sell like crinks and stuff there, and I started going there so often. That the guy's like, I'm gonna start carrying some paint. He was carrying Montana aliens, and I was buying those from him. But other than that, like it was just always Rustos, always shoe polish markers. I remember I was a nerd about it, so I would look online for recipes of ink. I was buying like those big packs of pens from the 99-cent store and snipping them and rubbing alcohol and a little Kool-Aid in there too would stain her, and it would smell, the ink would smell like Kool-Aid, like cherry, but it would stain and stuff. And so I was making my own ink. I was putting inside of shoe polish markers and like cans. I would get caps from like, I remember Krylons, they had the New York thin tips on them, on the clear coats. So you can go to Walmart, get a clear coat of Krylon and take the tip off, and you get a New York thin tip.
Okay.
Or you can go to the Elmer's glue one and you can get like these like cream colored caps that would give you like a dot like this big, and it was like nice, solid, like clean, like dot. It was nice, but we would steal those and even some of the oven cleaning ones as well. It was before Rusto changed their valve, and we were using those a lot.
Man, I remember when Crown came up with this tip on the Crown cap. It was like blue, and when you sprayed it, it would flare.
Yeah, like a nice flare. Yeah. You find those ones, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go hit the aisle and just get it. Just go and hit all these off the aisle. But yeah, we were looking for things like that to just take off the shelf and just kind of like stick it right into what we were doing. A lot of shoe polish markers though.
How does it make you feel now? Like now it's accessible. Like you guys have a whole art district now.
It's dope, and kind of it's also not as magical really, because like there was a feeling when you would get a marker or when you would get a can, or get a couple of cans or have a backpack full of blacks and whites, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a feeling like of potential, it was like a potential energy. It was like having the concoction to, oh man, I'm going to do so much shit with this supply of stuff. And it was special because you had that supply of stuff and you were trying to do something with just that. And because of that, it felt really special to paint with it and to tag with it and to bomb with it. And now, because it's so accessible, it's kind of like, I can just go get that and I can just, I can have a million markers, you know what I mean? I can have a million cans, sort of like of the good brands or whatever the fuck. And like, it's kind of lost its magic a little bit for me personally.
I never thought about it that way, but it does it does feel that way.
Yeah. It's kind of like we used to get jazzed when we get like a Montana can. One. We'd have like 30, color place flat blacks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe like 10 Rust-Oleum whites. We just catch flat black fills with the 99-cent cheap cans. You can either buy or rack or whatever the hell. I used to just buy them for 99 cents, but you just get the flat blacks for the fills because you use most of that, and then just like one or two good outline cans. And like maybe your homie got a Montana or an Iron Lac or something. You're like, oh yeah, check this out. Look, I just got this in. Oh, that's awesome. How much that cost you? Like,
I remember when the Montana first came around, no one really thought that someone was going to pay that much for a can.
Yeah.
And then look at it now; it's close to $9.94.
Yeah, just about. Well, in Vegas, it's about, you can get some good shops, man. We get them from around almost seven something.
Okay.
But going to Home Depot and shit, like I used to get 3 cans for like $10. Rustos.
Okay.
I would do a 3-colored piece, $3. $10. I knew I could do that once a month, or twice a month if I was lucky. If I did my chores or whatever. But it's not that. It's so expensive now. The cans at Home Depot are like as much as
$10 right now for a Rusto.
It's crazy, and it's just a Rusto. It's like, why would you even buy that?
And it got that one. What is it? A female cap? The one that
is the stem, the female can, or the male can.
Many say that was like a move for them to avoid the can to be used for graffiti.
I think it was too. I really do. But then, like the same year or like a year later, Sect came out with those adapters, and it was just like, oh, word.
I just don't understand, right? Because like as a business aspect of it, right? You would think they want to make money. Mm-hmm. That's the whole business model, to make money. And I mean, there's obviously a big market in graffiti.
Yeah.
Where if they would have took it on a bit more serious, Crown and Rusto, who knows? We might have not had the Montana here. Yeah,
they might not, honestly. And I think it was more so a hit to like their like artistic or graffiti writer community, period, that they did that.
Okay.
The average person who's painting a chair seafoam, they don't know anything about it. They don't even care. They're gonna use it for one little tiny thing, and then it's gonna sit in their garage for Lord knows how long.
Have you seen the new one that Russell came out with? Like you spin it and it's a different nozzle.
I have. I tried any kind of new can. I have to try it, no matter what brand or what. I always buy it, and I did. I was like, it is what it is, but not for the price. No, no,
not for the price.
It's got a little fan tip.
And I'd rather just get a cap or two and then make it happen with a can than having to pay that much for
just get a couple caps. Just get a couple caps in a good can. You don't need a little twisty adjusting. It's cute, but like I don't think
whoever if you're trying to play with the kids and shit, just hey,
I don't know. I think it's more the idea of it is cool. Like if NyQuil or like some cap company like Montana or whatever, if they had that idea and they made like their version of that,
like a Montana style,
that would be sick.
Oh, forget it.
But like,
it'd be over.
you do like an adjustment, it gets you like the 81 cap where it's like super wide, and then you do another one where it's like a super thin, like
we're gonna need royalties if they take the idea.
Hey, please do. I mean, I see what Bond does out there. True Love Bond, he does like all this crazy sprays with like, he makes up all these weird caps and stuff. He should make one of those. That'd be dope. I'll buy it.
I wanted to get into the art district down here because it wasn't here when I was down here. The art district is this something that's fairly new?
No, the art district actually has been here for a really long time. It's just that it hasn't had traction. It's kind of hard.
Okay.
So the art district originally started, as just like, it's pretty run down. When I first started congregating down there, it was a rough spot. There was a lot of older buildings from like the 80s and 60s even.
Okay.
And they were repurposed. They used to be a hospital facility or whatever, or like, old boutique or whatever. And they used to be places that were now shut down. They were run down. There were, people living in them. They were squatting there. It was like a really rough neighborhood to be in. You didn't want to be in the arts district back in the day. It was not friendly, and it was just not nice.
Okay.
That's where you get mugged. That's where you get your shit jacked. That's where you get your car stolen. And they would have First Friday down there back in the day when I first started to go, around like 2008 is when I first started going down there. And it would just be once a month. They would shut down like a block or two, and they would just be like break dancers on one side, performers, singers on the other side, a freestyle booth down the way, someone selling food out of like a food truck, a little ice cream cone stand. And it was sort of like a hodgepodge of creatives, and also to a lot of like art vendors that were just sort of local artists setting up on the side of the street and like doing stuff like that. And First Friday slowly became bigger and bigger and bigger in the arts district. But I remember that's when I first started seeing the arts district. Or I'd go down there because my homie Vessel raps, and he would back in the day do battles down there. Okay. And we were down there, middle of the night watching him in some little venue, just fucking rip the stage up, a hip hop show or something. But it was never a nice place to be. There was no coffee shops down there, and I think what changed and what put it on the map and what made it what it is now is, I think in the around 2013, actually around 2013, 2014, Tony Shea from Zappos came to Vegas.
Okay.
That's what really did it for the whole downtown in general. He poured like millions of his own money into revitalizing the downtown of Las Vegas by himself.
Oh, wow.
And he went, like his people in his group were like upset with him, but he turned it into what it is now. He bought so many properties. He made them at nightclubs. He made this a restaurant. He made this what it is. He changed it. And one of the things he did was start buying some stuff up there in the art district too, and put eyes on it. He put Vegas under a magnifying glass for other people, and they saw how run down it was, and like, oh, it's cheap, fucking run down. Let's fucking buy it up. And so coffee shops started opening up one by one. Boutiques turned into restaurants. Places went out of business. The rent started going up. And so the galleries prospered in one way and are now suffering in another way. Because of that, a lot of galleries over the past 2 years, specifically, a lot of people I know and people I know have had to close their doors to their galleries and stuff like that. Because it was always an arts district and there was always galleries there. It's just the gallery was just in the ghetto. You know what I mean? Okay. The gallery was in a not good spot. And, it's cheap rent so they can have a gallery there, So now everything is like coffee shop, restaurant, nail salon, and because of that, all the people who've been there for so long with their galleries, their owners, the building landlords are jacking the rent up, and the galleries can't really keep up too much, but they're trying to. I think there's galleries coming in from out of town who are now buying up some stuff and opening new ones up, which is great. And there's some that are now doing really well, but it's been there for a long time. It's just sort of changed over the time. Gotcha. Now there's a big magnifying glass on it, and the city like repaved the whole street. They put the street lights up. They made it what it is now.
Yeah, I drove by it yesterday, and I was like, wait, what's going on over here?
Oh, yeah. It's honestly the place to be now. I'm down there almost every single day, like doing a wall or like doing something in the alley. The alleys there are all bombed up like crazy with dope pieces, and like, it's turned into something really beautiful. It was always something beautiful, but it was just, a little secret, now everyone's
it got exploited.
Yeah, now it's exploded and everyone wants to be down in the art district.
What is a must visit gallery, would you say, if somebody that watches and comes to Vegas and goes to the art district?
There's several. I mean, there's the Arts Factory is always going to be the first thing I say, because the Arts Factory has always been there as far as I go back, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
And every single first Friday, which is the local art festival that happens every single month, once a month, and has happened for 20 years here. The Arts Factory is almost like the center hub of the entire event. And it's like this huge building that it has like hundreds of galleries in it. You walk into it and there's like just a hallway. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 galleries turned down this hallway. There's another 5 galleries. You go up the stairs. There's just galleries everywhere. And like everyone's got a flavor. Everyone's got a different flavor.
Okay.
And it's been there for a really long time. Yeah, so I would say definitely check the Arts Factory out. You have to. There's tons of great artists and gallery owners that are down there. There's Conrad West Gallery. They do more outsourced stuff. They're sort of more of a contemporary gallery, so they have like more abstract, bright, colorful stuff. And then there's one that just opened up called Mad Gallery, which a lot of my friends are inside of there.
Mad Gallery?
Mad Gallery,
okay.
Yep. Mad Gallery is dope. All these are right in the Arts District, so you can just hit all of them if you wanted to go on a tour. There's also like crystal shops there. There's like really good restaurants there. Like I said, I'm really down there almost every day, like getting
there's
some
art everywhere over there. I was like, hey man, I think it's time to take a walk by here and paint something. Okay.
Oh yeah, hey man, it's the spot to do it. It's the spot to do it. If you're looking to paint something, just do something dope. You don't need to bomb it. That's one thing with any legal spots here in Vegas. I always advocate for like, you ain't got to run. No one's gonna hound you. Just do something dope. Take your time. This is an opportunity to take your time. So I always try to advocate for that. But Vegas is I can't. I was gonna say something. I was like, I shouldn't advocate bombing Vegas up, but do something dope in our district at least. But
I could say from firsthand that Vegas went through, I would like to say, a tag banging era.
Definitely did.
Where it was very influenced down here.
Very much.
And I believe there's like a lot of crews from LA that were involved in that world migrated down here and tried to start that out here.
Yeah, they definitely succeeded for a long time.
Yeah,
very long time. And even it's still not like completely gone, necessarily. But when I first started, I remember I was seeing a lot of these videos. I would watch those VHS tapes where the War 42 ones.
Yeah,
and it was like DOC was bombing Vegas like super hard, and tons of crews from LA were coming here. Bombing Vegas
like the
really
TKOs
hard.
And stuff.
TKOs, yeah, 100%. Boke, they got that one where he did on the underpass. You know what I mean? That's like an iconic one. That's crazy. But yeah, there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of rough times with that. A lot of people either went to jail or got addicted to some kind of drug. Where even when I started, like I would meet somebody like, oh, you're right. We get to know each other a little bit. And then 3-4 months later, I'd see him again, ragged ass clothes, skinny, you know what I mean? Sunken eyes a bit. Like, oh yeah, man, I just been living on the streets, dog, just trying to rack some paint here and there and bomb. Like that lifestyle, because you're so paranoid about someone's going to come and get you. I've seen it. I've seen them, on a decline. A person come from like here, they look pretty good, they're feeling good. Months later, they're just hitting rock bottom, or it's like their homie just died, or like their homie just got locked up, or they just got out, and it's like that cycle, you know what I mean? I've seen it firsthand too many times, Did
that ever affect in any way, like the typing aspect of it down here? Like, did it ever become a problem to where like certain places you can't be at type thing?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some places you didn't want to be at.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You didn't want to like be caught or have someone roll up on you or catch you slipping at the tracks at the specific time. Or, I remember a lot of my crewmates would bump into people sometimes, even just like on the tracks, be chill. Usually you would suspect it's the tracks. They were catching like 30 people deep, you know what I mean? They're catching a fucking roller, just like, who dog what you right? Like fucking like, you know what I mean? Ready to do something. Just because they're out and that's what they do, and yeah, I mean, there was definitely some dicey spots where it's like, hey, you don't want to go over there. That's a TKO yard. And right now you just don't want to fuck with that right now. There's been moments of hot times in Vegas where it's like, cool it over here. Cause there's war happening over these few walls or in this area of the freeway. Like just don't, cause they're going over each other. If you go over them, you're now in the mix. You're in the fight now.
Now you're part of it.
Yeah, they don't care who you are. You're in the mix now. So
and if you're a one-man army, it's going to be a little tough.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's been plenty of that in the past, but like I would say honestly, it depends on what you're focused on as a writer. If you're bombing and you're just doing your own thing, you should know who to stay away from, or like, hey, I want to hit that spot, but this crew has that spot. Do I want to really, fucking step into that puddle right now? Like, I want to put my foot in that water right now. Like,
and get splashed by all the water. Like,
that's coming back your way. Yeah, if you do that. So, you really got to pick your battles, as a writer, I feel like. And like, it's not worth it, to be honest. Like, there's a million fucking malls in Vegas, and in general. And not just in Vegas, just in general.
You have abandoned buildings you could just go and demolish on your own.
Yeah, I mean... And if you want to hit a high visible spot, there's plenty of them. You don't need the same one that everyone's hit.
Yeah,
you just got to look at the city landscape a little more creatively. You know what I mean?
Use your imagination a little.
Yeah, there's a crew out here that does that. And speaking of which, I'm a real big fan of them. They're called EOK.
EOK.
EOK. Okay. Yeah, they're dope. They're like. It's just crazy. Like we drive in and there would be like a wall with just like a hole in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And they use the landscape of the city to do their letters. So they'll use that hole in the wall as an O, and they'll just put an E, and that's it. And it's like, that's fucking cool.
Like, dang, why did I think of that?
Yeah. I see it all. I see them everywhere, and I just know it's them because they'll outline the crack in the wall as an O. I'm like, that's fucking cool, man. Like, it's just getting more creative. It's like. Again, going back to that whole, like, everyone's fighting for the same piece of meat.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to kind of create a new thing where it's like, or when I was bombing, I want to say, I wanted to gravitate and use pieces of the city that weren't being used,
being in Vegas, brother, right? You get visitors from all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it dealing with guys that might come in and be like, you guys got to do it like us because we're the guys.
We're setting the pace, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't engage with them.
Okay.
That's like you can rise rise above a wave and just not engage with it.
Yeah.
So like
I'm on the same boat. I'm the same. Like I'll be, all right, cool.
It's like, because what they're doing when someone does that in general in life and period, like that lesson right there to take from that life lesson, I want to say, because it's bigger than this graph, but they're saying, hey, I'm playing this game. Okay, and these are the rules of the game that I'm playing. They're trying to pull you on to play that game with them.
The way they play it.
And you're like, I'm just not gonna even. I'm just gonna. You know what I mean? It's just like you don't. The way to win is to not play the game at all. If someone wants to like pull you, hey, come play this game with me. It's just. Don't play the game. Like, just do your own thing. Like
be you, and it's gonna get you a long way.
Yeah, and I think in graffiti specifically graph, there has been those chains put on a lot of writers where it's like they were told this is the way you're supposed to do this exact thing, and I think that because of that, the anti-culture, the rebelliousness, the uniqueness, the individuality of graffiti.
Yeah,
you're now shackled by those concepts. A culture telling you to be rebellious is telling you don't do this.
Gotcha.
It seemed super contradictory to me.
Yeah,
and I was like, I see this thing I never saw before, and so when some writers are sort of glued down and bogged down by these like. And again, they're foundational. You know what I mean? They're trying to give you a structure on how to give you an aesthetic and give you a way of a code of life. But there's a point where that needs to stop. That code of life is your foundation, and it's your rules. It's supposed to teach you ground rules. But then you get to a certain point where on top of those ground rules, you can grow onto something else. But when you stay there, you kind of don't become an individual, and you sort of fall in line with what everyone's kind of been doing.
Yeah, and getting into that, like you see some of the most successful people out there today in life and anything in general, right? You hear their story, and that's what they did. Like I didn't settle to just be the guy to press the button.
Yeah,
I want to know how's the button made, and how can I make my own button.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Using what you know about that button.
Yeah,
I know this about this. But from that, what do I do with it? Yeah. Or do you just stay there?
How can I become more?
Yeah, how can you become more? How can you push this? How can you take it once you've learned it and take it to somewhere it hasn't been? But when you do that, you get a lot of people who don't like that. What are you doing? Taking it over there. You don't take it over there. That's not what you do, You
got to do this.
But they don't know you have the foundation.
Yeah.
And if you have the foundation, then do it. Know the rules to break the rules. Essentially.
Definitely.
But you have to know them,
You got to learn them.
You have to learn them because if you're just breaking rules, you're just fucking breaking rules. But you have to know what rules breaking and why you're breaking them. So I always advise that,
going into a piece as black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you take me into the process of how do you process that? Like going into all right, I'm gonna put up a piece right now.
Yeah. Usually I every time I try to force a piece, it comes out like shit. And I'm like, I don't want to show no one it. I'm like, okay, this is gonna sweep under the rug. So I've learned through doing that too many times to really just kind of vibe out how I feel for the day, because I have a few different styles that I can do. There's these straight letters that are kind of wavy, like that's one style, but I have to be in a certain mind to do those because they're a little tedious, but they look dope when they come out. Or like my traditional sort of East Coast style of funky letters that kind of got like, bends in them and stuff, sort of like a totem piece sort of, and it's got those like bends and stuff all over, like funky letters. Or I have like a really sort of rounder style where there's a lot more rounder movements to my letters, where it's a little more free flow, a little more bubbly-ish, but they're still pieces. So I still have to approach the wall saying, okay, what kind of vibe do I feel for today? Because I can go anyway. I can go any of those naturally and feel good doing them.
Gotcha.
But I have to feel like, what do I feel like really in the mood for? So I feel that out first and just start by making lines. Like just literally just start lines. In the first line, if it's an arch like that, I know the letters should be more rounded, and they should be more a little bubbly, a little more playful, a little less jagged. But if I start going like this, and I'm feeling like jerky, then I know the letters are going to be a little more like angular, you know what I mean? So I just approach the feeling and start with the first line and let the first line just dictate the whole rest of the piece. But once it's sketched out, just real quick, I just really don't overthink it, because if I overthink it, it's not going to look good.
Okay.
So I just really try to just approach it quickly. I have like, when I used to bomb a lot, I used to, in my black book, practice 20 different B's, 20 different L's, 20 different A's, 20 different C's, 20 different K's in different styles. Just how many times can I funk a C? How many times can I bend this K in different ways and stuff? And over the years of doing that purposefully, writing it down in a book, I don't need to write anymore. So I just freestyle everything.
Because now it's like it's embedded in your head. Like, okay, ooh, I know what I want to do, and I know how I'm gonna get into this.
Exactly. Like the K should be this way today, and maybe tomorrow it's like that, So like I really just feel that out. So once the piece is sketched out, freestyle, quick thing, maybe throw arrow or whatever here or there, then I just look at my colors. I don't really dictate too much when I pick colors.
Yeah.
I just see what I have. I'm like, okay. What do I have, and how can I? What's an outline? What's a fill-in? So I'm like, okay, these could be fills, these could be outlines, but this would be a good outline, and then that would be a good halo on the very outside. So I just pick my fill, and then a good color to outline the fill, whatever they are. I don't even care. So like if it's a yellow and then I have dark blues, and I'm like, okay, dark blues for the fill, yellow outline, so I just don't care.
It's like putting a puzzle together. This piece goes here and this goes here and this goes here.
And sometimes I just fade in. Okay, blue to light blue, and just, but I pick my colors, just whatever I have on hand, and just make it work.
Okay.
So freestyle the piece, 100% whatever I feel for the day, style wise, and then colors. I just look at what's there. I'm like, okay, how can I just make what's there work? And I just kind of go for it.
You being such an enthusiast of the culture and reading all these books from New York early on.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you actually meet one of these New York writers?
Not till way later. Yeah, not till way later. Even going to New York on my own for just visiting a friend for recreational, traveling to the South Bronx by myself, you know what I mean? And actually bumping into writers out there and actually talking with them. And it's kind of a trip, just because you do that, and then you got this accent. And you're like, oh, you're like really here,
Hey, yo, B, that's fresh.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, what you talking like that for, man? What the fuck you talking? They think you think they're mad at you, but it's just the accent. The New York accent. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, not till way later. But me being a geek, I'm like immersed in that. Like, oh, you must do this, you must do that. It's like, no, there's normal people living their normal lives, just there. They don't. They're not geeking out like you are here just because you're here.
Yeah.
So I still have to tone my nerdiness out.
Did you get to paint down there?
Yeah. I painted I painted at Tough City when it was still around.
Okay.
Luckily, that was a really cool shop. They had the whole like subway train in the back and stuff. And I tried to bomb, but it was a really short trip. And I wanted to hit that landmark for sure. And then like I was out the next day, I think.
Any other part of the world you had a chance to travel to paint?
Mm-hmm. Paris. Paris was dope.
Oh, how was that?
Dope. Super dope, dude.
Yeah.
Super dope. Yeah. Paris. Europe is just bombed up like crazy. I was gonna paint Italy, but I didn't get a chance to paint. I just enjoyed.
Okay.
But Italy is fucking destroyed. They're on another level of like bombing out there. There's just pieces everywhere you look. They bomb everything out there. It's beautiful. So I bombed a little bit in Rome, but like I wouldn't really consider it bombing. I got up a little bit in Rome.
Is Rome what you would think because of the movies? You know how you see movies like that movie 300, the Spartans and stuff. Like, do you really see stuff like that out there?
It's historic. Like you walk out there and like you're like, damn, this place has been around for thousands of years. Like not hundreds, thousands of years. Like
you could feel it when you're there.
Yeah, you feel it. Like you legitimately just feel it resonating off of the stones. Like there's just been shit here. Like there's just stuff has happened. Stuff has happened here,
Just know something happened here. We don't know what, but something happened.
You can just feel it. Yeah. Like if all the people vanished, like that place is still like, this is a monument. Like you walk down like this little corridor in Rome and then it opens up to this massive Trevi fountains. It's like fucking like 200 feet by like 20 feet tall of stone statues just going like this and there's water pouring out of them. And it's like, when did they make this? Like, when did they do this? And then you travel down the next street and then there's like the Pantheon. It's like literally 5 minutes walking. And the Pantheon is this massive stone structure that goes up hundreds of feet up in the air.
Like, who did this?
Yeah, I'm like, what is this place? And then you look down, and then there's the most intricate mosaic murals of stone on the ground. You're like, this is insane. You look up, and there's like statues and oil paints. You're like, what? It's like this is a whole nother level of artistry and like history there. But you feel it there. You don't need to even talk to somebody about it.
Yeah,
you can just walk there and just look, and you're like, I get it.
I definitely want to make myself go down there and push my limit to make it over to check it out. I got to check it out now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Rome is bombed up like crazy. It's a really touristy spot. So anywhere like in LA that you're familiar with that's like really touristy, it's like that.
Oh wow!
With that historical aspect added to it.
Damn, so that's crazy.
You're like looking up like, wow, and then someone goes like, hey, roses. Hey, I got roses. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy the fountain. They're like, yeah, fuck you. You're like, you're like, okay, get the whole experience.
I noticed that on social media you're really active. Like you keep up with your content and your a lot of content with your art. For any writer out there that would kind of like not understand the value of having content on their page with their art, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it just depends on what your goal is and what you're trying to do with what you're doing. Yeah. Like for me, early on, I wanted a place to just have it all categorized, just have it all there. And it turned into a portfolio for me. It turned into like, this is something I can show somebody like, hey, for like work. Cause seeing my brother do his art and seeing him get somewhere with him, with what he was doing, some family members asked him to draw stuff for him and pay him $50 here to do something, $60 here to do something. I had a family friend, he did a little wall in her son's room. And just seeing that from my perspective, I was like, that's cool. So when I started doing it more and more, I'm doing walls already for free as a writer, bombing, doing murals. I'm buffing out my wall in the tunnel in the middle of the night, doing characters of girls next to it with like colorful pieces for free. No, just because that's my love. It's my pure heart. If I took a picture of that and showed a business owner that, like, hey, if you're looking for something, I might be able to do something like this for like $100 or something, or $150, and oh yeah, for sure, maybe on the back wall, whatever, and cover my paint. Yeah, maybe I get a little excess paint for free out of it or whatever. And it started off like that for me. And the social media thing was to originally categorize it so I can just show somebody like, hey, this is what I can do for you. Here's a bunch of stuff I can do for you. Check it out. Yeah. And it turned into that, and then it became like, okay, since I'm doing that, we're all here in the real world, sure, but we're also here in the digital world. And if I can get here in front of thousands of people or millions of people here, there's a potential of those people wanting me to do something for them. So it turned into like, let me impress who's on the other end of my phone so that they'll contact me so I can do something.
Like building a portfolio.
Building a portfolio and a client base too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people actually over the years have hit me up through Instagram like, hey, I saw you do this. Could you do this for me? Or, hey, I saw you do something like this. I want something similar to what you did. And that's snowballed into a career, full-time career. I'm a full-time artist.
Oh, full-time.
So, yeah, I don't do anything else other than murals, other than fine art, commission paintings. That's all I do. And I do a lot, because I have a lot of portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's not just for clout. It's not just for like, check out what I do as a graffiti side. It's for the clients. Okay. It's for the people that might potentially want something from me. So look at it like as a potentiality, investing in yourself. Like if somebody approaches you with a scheme for a business idea, you can only trust them so much because you don't really know what they really are intention.
Okay.
But when you collect your own work and it's your own stuff, you know what you can do for them because it's you. So investing in yourself that way, putting your work into something and putting your time into building a portfolio like that, you're banking on yourself because you got you.
And you're showing what you could do and you're capable of.
And you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So for me, it turned into that. So I would say anybody who wants like to build that for themselves, have an intention of what you're doing with it, what you're doing. You know,
and my personal opinion, graffiti culture is very egotistic, right? Mm-hmm. And you would have guys that will hear that comment and be like, oh, that guy's a sellout because he's making money, right? Mm-hmm. What is your take to that individual or those people that feel that way and not understanding where you come from?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I've been there. Again, like I think it goes back to that foundational thing where it's like bricks, where you start somewhere and you need to grow. You need to build on top of those bricks. Yeah. It just, anyone who feels that way, which I've met plenty of people who do, and I've talked to them, they're not up here yet. They're still in their foundation. Because in your foundation, it says you do this, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But then the way you grow, you got to build on that. I worked a car wash job for a very long time. Yeah. I've stocked shelves of beer for a very long time and thrown my back out. I've gotten into car accidents on the job, working a 9-to-5, getting $600 every 2 weeks for a gig, for a day job, and done commissions on the side for side money. And done murals on the side here and there once every 6 months, when I could get one.
Yeah.
I always, working a day job, hated working a day job and wanted to get out of that day job. But I was always doing artwork on the side of my full-time job. So I worked until the margins of my 9-to-5 job and my artistic job passed 50% and grew past the 50% so I could quit it.
Yeah.
So I can do it full-time. So anybody who's feeling that way, I feel you. I've been there, but honestly, I don't want to work a 9-to-5. I did that for a long time and did art. So I did that so I can build up, so I can only do art. So if it's a graffiti commission where somebody, which has happened plenty of times, where somebody wants me to come to like their really nice multi-million-dollar home, and tag it up with bombs and tags and rights and drippy marker tags, and I can get some money from it, why would I say no? You know what I mean? Like I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to do it anyways. So it's like, why not get paid for it? If you can do it, it's like, okay. I mean, like it's still at the same time when I get done with that commission, I can still walk outside into the tunnels and bomb something, or I can still go to the freeway and bomb something. That doesn't mean because you do one thing that you're still incapable of doing the other thing. Yeah. It's not like I forgot how to do it, because I haven't. And
it's like I could swim today, but tomorrow I could run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, for me in my career, the stuff I've been able to do, I've been able to take the same energy I would do a piece with and do something where I have hundreds of people of a community in a community center or whatever, do a mural for them that represents them. And use my skills to give them a voice and get something back energy-wise from them. They say, hey, we appreciate that. And, once you get into that realm of saying, like, what can I give the people around me with what I know I can do well? It turns into this love on another level of like, man, I just want to give back now to the community, because like I could bomb the community, but at the same time, like, where's the middle zone here? Is there a give? Is there a take? If I give the community value, then they'll value what I can give them and give me more, and that way I can give them more, more art. I can put up more beautiful things.
It's definitely a very impactful emotion, when you receive that gratitude. Because I've been in that position where I do something for the community and the gratitude, it gives you a different emotion that impacts you a little different, right?
Yeah,
like
very
going
much.
from like I started down here, and for someone at this level to accept what I was able to build throughout this whole journey.
From there.
It kind of helps you resemble like, damn, I went through all that, but I'm finally here.
Yeah. And to have someone be like, well, you sold out. It's like, nah, man, I did that. I can still do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think the value of what my piece on the board is right now.
Gotcha.
My board piece has moved from the start to this position right now.
There's no more $150 mirrors. It's over.
Yeah. So I have to just do what's in the realm in my vicinity. In my vicinity right now, I have people asking me to do certain things, so I have to do those certain things, because at this point, I can't do those things. I just can't. So like when I do work for the city of Las Vegas sometimes.
Yeah.
So which is crazy, because I painted illegal murals in Vegas when I was a kid. Now the city itself of Las Vegas works with me to commission to do some murals around Vegas.
Okay.
And it's my same tag on those walls when I sign it.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like my board piece has moved over here, and I need to play this position, for where I'm at right now. But every once in a while, if I get an off day, man, I'll go do a piece somewhere. You know what I mean?
Do your thing. Still come out and flex the muscle real quick.
Yeah, like I still have all my styles. I still know how to catch a right with flares. I know what I'm doing.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. You just add to it. That's the thing. So like, I would just say, start with that foundation, learn the rules, but you have to build on that. You have to move. You have to grow.
Yeah.
If a plant is the same size as it was 10 years ago, it's probably dead. You know what I mean?
It's not going nowhere.
You have to grow. You have to like water it. You have to nurture it. You have to put the right environment around it so that it can nurture itself and grow and absorb and have nutrients. You got to nurture it.
100%, brother. I got 2 questions for you before we get out of here.
Yeah.
One being, what would you say to somebody that's trying to enter the graffiti world in 2024?
Learn your basics. Learn the rules. Learn your history. Learn who to respect. Learn who's not with us anymore, and respect that. It's important to know where this comes from and what it means to other people who are here before you. So I mean, again, I would say approach it the way I did.
100%.
Come in and learn your rules, learn the rules, and build on them once you do learn them. But learn the rules, foundation's key. Letter structure and respect.
100%, brother. Last question I got for you: favorite shoe you like to wear when you paint?
Adidas. 100%.
Adidas?
100% Adidas. I only wear Adidas. Yeah.
Any kind of Adidas?
Usually black with white, black and white only.
Okay.
I only wear black only or white. So
no Yeezys?
Never. No. No. Black and white. Keep it old school 80s. Old school 80s hip hop. 80s. Gotta get my Adidas, man. My Adidas.
Again, brother, it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was a great
amazing
conversation. Where can the people find you at?
I'm on Black 57 TCB on Instagram and on TikTok. I don't post as much on TikTok. That was not even like a graffiti-based platform for me. It was a different style of art that I was doing there. But Instagram, Black 57 TCB. And then if you do want to buy any of the stuff that I put out, it's mostly made to order artworks, or like I have a couple shirts I'm dabbling in on my Etsy, which is just Black 57 art.
Gotcha. We're out here in Vegas. Our official tour is just kicked off. We're out here with Black. More to come. Make sure to head over to gotnocontrol.com and check out our official merchandise. Grab yourself a t-shirt, a hoodie, and so much more. And if not, it's always free to like and subscribe. Give us a subscription. It's all love. And we're out here on tour bringing you guys in-depth conversations. Till next time, peace.